You want to dive right in?
Yeah, we can go get started.
All right. I want to ask first, why was Chilton County the job for you?
Well, I wasn't really out looking for a job, just through some, how do you say it? Just through some different people who were connected to the system down here. They reached out, asked if I'd be interested. I told them I'm always interested in talking, and I got on the phone with their superintendent, Corey Clements, and he kind of laid out what his vision was for the high school, what they were looking for in a coach, and it fit right into all the stuff that we have done at Leeds with Coach Hood, and we had done at Clay and done at Oak Mountain before that, and it just seemed a perfect fit. That everything they were looking for were things that we had done and worked on for the past 20 years, really.
What was that process like for you going through that? Like, is this first head coaching gig for you?
Yes, that's the first gig. Yeah.
So what was that like going through that for the first time?
Well, without trying to sound weird, it wasn't as stressful as I thought it would be, because obviously
Right.
I was talking to Chris Mills the other day about how fortunate I had been, and some of us others in that little circle have been, of great mentors and people who had gone before me, who kind of everything they learned along the way, I was there for them to pass on. Like when Coach Gilmer went through it at Clay, then at Hoover, John Clemens went through it at Corner, then at Springville, Stu at Clay. So there was a good wealth of knowledge of people I've been centered around or very close contact with over the last 12 years that made it as stress free as it could be. And like
Yeah.
Coach Hood told me right before I left to go to the interview, that you have a plan. And the best part about that plan is if it's not theirs, you have a great job here at Leeds, or there at Leeds with people who love you, and you already do a good job here. So it took all the stress off.
Wow. How cool was that? Like, I don't know what event that was. Was that like a meet the coach kind of thing when you were approved or whatever? Is that what that
Yeah.
was?
So I'd actually gotten approved a little while before, and it just took, I mean, getting approved at the beginning of March. I was actually out of town the day they held the board meeting. And then it took a little while because baseball was playing, softball was playing, soccer was playing. So we rolled it all, meet the coach, we'll meet the coaching staff, and we had our parent meeting. It was a great turnout. I didn't really know what to expect with it being on, that was actually the makeup day for it. So it was a great turnout. There's a lot of community support around here, a lot of people who are eager to just do the right thing to get this program going in the right direction, because even though historically they don't have the highest winning percentage, everybody around here is very proud of their program. They just want to do, they want to do things the right way to be proud of the product that's on the field.
Yeah. How cool was it? Like Coach Hood, I saw him probably a couple months before that at Drew's introduction at Hoover, and then him being there at yours. Like, I mean, you played at Oak Mountain. He was coaching there. You've coached with him at Clay Chalkville and at Leeds. Um, what was that moment like with him?
It was very surreal because, last year at Leeds, we were fortunate enough to have Kevin Garver, who he played for us at Oak Mountain. He's my age, and he's coached at Alabama, Tampa Bay. He's kind of been all over. He's been in Arizona as the receivers coach.
Right.
So he got to come home and work with us. Coach Love got to come over and work with us. And we had all been there together at Oak Mountain when Coach Hood first took over as head coach. We got to talking one day, and it came out that Coach Hood was a year. I think he was a year younger than I am now when he took over. So when I gave the speech
Wow.
at the Meet the Coach thing, it was awesome just to be able to thank him for everything he's done over the last 22 years. And it was awesome just knowing that he's done at least one good thing for somebody. Now, obviously, he's done a lot of good things, but
Sure.
like that was one of the main reasons I wanted to have one, just to be able to thank him for all he's done for me. So it was awesome.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Like, so the Chilton County, like, how much did you know about Chilton County historically? Like, do you have any ties there, or like, what do you
Uh,
know about the job or the place?
Honestly, I'd seen him on film a few times when we were first getting started at Leeds, and that first year under Coach Gibson, we had some common opponents, so I'd known of them. Um, Probably the biggest thing I knew about them going into this year was they had DeMarcus, the all-world linebacker, and then once it got to talking, and I started looking at them just on film, the first thing that jumped off was they have a ton of athletes. Like there's no shortage of athletes down here. Then I started diving into the program, looking at it historically. They're about a 50% winning percentage historically. I think that might be right, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'm looking at
And then
52%.
52%. And then no real ties. My wife, she's from Holtville, which it's about 20 minutes east of here, 20 to 30 minutes. I've known the area, and obviously
Yeah.
everybody knows the Clanton exits for the Peaches and everything else. Other than that, it was kind of a fresh start, which I think has worked out great because I don't know anybody. I'm not attached to. It's a great small town feel. It reminds me a lot of Leeds, just in a different part of the state. So it's a great small town feel. But sometimes in small towns, there's people like you can't talk to that person that way. You don't know who his grandfather is. I'm like, I don't. You're right, I don't.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do these things my way, the ways that I've known and seen that can work. And so far, I think we're getting a pretty positive reaction to the things that we're doing. Just trying to do things the right way and instill our standards and our way of doing things that historically have worked. So we'll just see if they'll work here too.
Yeah. Sort of a two-sided thing here. Chilton County hasn't had a winning season since 2019. However, 2020, Chilton County became a 6A team.
Yep.
So y'all been in 6A for the last 3-4 years. How do you kind of I don't want to say right the ship. I mean, anytime a team is historically in a lower classification and then moves up, there's growing pains. You need depth, you need athletes, you need all those things. How do you kind of steer that ship towards more success?
Well, it all starts, and I've talked to the kids about these things, so none of these comments are just being said for the first time, that there has to be standards. Like, I firmly believe that every team in the state of Alabama is capable of making the playoffs. And I told them that. There's 7, 8 teams, something like that in each region. You're always going to have the team that's just historically great, always great athletes, great coaches. And that's generally the team that you're working towards when you first get somewhere like this. Like we're working to be on that standard. Like for us, I'll go ahead and say with Helena, Spain Park, and Ben Russell in our region, like those are historically good programs, competitive, even at 7A for Spain Park dropping down. But I also told the kids, like, I know and have been around programs like this, and I know what they do. Like, they don't just show up and win because they're Helena. They don't just show up and win. I tell them all the time, it's because all I know, like, we didn't just show up and win at Clay because we were Clay. We didn't just show up and win at Leeds because we were Leeds. We did the little things every single day to put us in the best position to win on Friday night. And for the most part, if you'll be I hate to say it, but if you will allow yourself to be the better coach team, you'll take the coaching, you'll put in the effort and do the work that we ask you to do, you're going to win more games than not. Because just as the nature of high school boys are, some won't take the coaching. So when it comes that moment, you won't be ready for it, and that'll be the difference. I mean, it's not a secret. We beat Moody at Leeds the last 2 years because it's come down to a special teams play. And we know, I don't know what they coach. I'm not taking a shot at them, but I know for us at Leeds, we take a lot of pride in our special teams being as good as we can get them. And so far, I've told the kids that. There was a moment at Leeds, the very coach had second year, when we played center point, we had to convert the 4th and 17 or 12 or whatever it was on the tip pass, all because a kid who had been a rough kid growing up, Remetrius Yelverton, carried his fake out right and just happened to be, because the fake carried him to where the tip pass happened, he catches the ball, scores the go-ahead touchdown against center point, and we go to the playoffs for the first time in Leeds since they had been in 2015. So I just try to use examples like that and show them, like, do the work. And Coach Hood has instilled it in me over the last 22 years. Like, greatness is coming, but you have to have put the work in. So when that moment for greatness happens, you're there. And that's what we're preaching to these kids. Like, you're going to do work, and you might not win every game, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. Me and Kyle have talked a lot over the last like 2 years. 7A Region 3 kind of gets the bulk of the headlines.
Mhm.
Just the nature of it, top classification, the teams that are within it. But when we've talked about depth and the competition, we've looked at 6A Region 3, which has quite a bit of shakeup in it this year. I mean, I'm looking at y'all's region now. So you already alluded to some of these. So you've got Benjamin Russell in region,
Mhm.
Calera that's been down a little. Chelsea's come back down from 7A.
Yep.
You guys, Helena, which has been great the last few years. Pelham, always pretty solid.
Mhm.
And a Spain Park team that comes down from 7A that will probably make a lot of noise in 6A, you would think, with some of the returning guys they've got back. How do you kind of describe a region like that?
Well, the good news is, and I've preached this to the kids because I know how kids think. They're seeing that, oh, it's Spain Park, oh, it's Helena, oh, whatever.
Right.
Now they've played Ben Russell and Helena and Pelham at least the last 2 years, so they've been in the region. But I just tell them, I'm like, I watched your part in Coach Hood's interview that you put out there when you were talking about his scheduling. Like, it's just what we know. Like, you hear these teams how they didn't play Spain Park or Chelsea last year, and Ben Russell got away from them early. But Helena game, I'm not 100% sure of last year, but word on the street was the 2 years prior should have won the game. They were up on them. The Pelham game, they were either winning, I think they were winning, and they fumbled a punt that if they had caught it would have been able to ice the game. So, like, these kids know they're close, and it just ties back into the previous message of, I just tell them, like, y'all know in your heart, did y'all really work on this? Did you whatever? Like, did y'all really deserve to win at that point? And that's just kind of what I keep hammering to them, because I tell them, like, I'm just looking at the kids in the weight room and some of the stuff we're doing on the field. They're plenty athletic. Like, they're not losing games just because they can't physically stay with the rest of the teams. It's just a fumble punt against Pelham. They were trying to ice the game, I think, against Homewood, and they fumbled the ball on offense. And the next play, Homewood scored, and it all fell apart because they're just not used to winning. And we've all seen teams like that. So we just got to get that out of their minds and tell them, like, you're going to be prepared to go out on Friday and execute. And if you lose, I mean, you lose. Like, if you do everything that we ask you to do and you play as hard as you can, that's just part of life. It's the great thing about athletics. You learn a lesson, but we're not going to not love you on Monday because we didn't win on Friday. Now, if we didn't have a good week of practice or other things happened and we didn't play to the best of our ability, we got to fix it, but we're still going to love you. And that's the message we're trying to teach them, that every day that our love is not dependent on your outcome or your output.
Yeah.
And I think if we do that, we'll let the chips fall as they may, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I did one of these a little while back with Alec Etheridge. He's with the Shelby County Reporter. He started off as, I don't know if you know Alec, but he started off, sports guy, editor. He's like the president and publisher now, but he's a sports guy. And we were talking about growth in Shelby County. Just he talked about the Montevallo area. He's talked about Calera, Chilton County, Clanton, all this. Do you kind of see that? I mean, going 6A in 2020, do you see a kind of a growing community that you've become a part of?
I'm probably haven't been down here long enough to
Okay.
answer that as well. I know some of the coaches that have been here and are from here, they've said it's been growing. I don't know if it's been growing at the extent like Alabaster and Calera and Montevallo have. But I mean, being from Oak Mountain, I've seen this area from here to Montgomery grow over the years.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely trending in an upward direction. I probably wouldn't I haven't looked at our enrollment history in the past, so I'm probably not the world's greatest person to ask on that. But like we've
But either
got, I think,
y'all
yeah,
got depth.
we got
You're building depth. Yeah.
yes, we got 153 kids in the school, so we're still a pretty good ways off from the Spain Parks and the Chelseas and the Helenas who are on that 6A, 7A line. But I mean, just in talking to the coaches, um, they're fighting a lot of the same battles we are. Like some classes you'll come through and it'll be a huge offensive and defensive line class for a few years and you're struggling for skill. And then other years it's flipped. So we're doing some things here that we did at Leeds to try to build more depth with a smaller number. Like right now, we're just cross training all of our kids offensively and defensively, with the knowledge that our kids aren't going to play both ways.
Yeah.
But like we're going to make it so like because like at Leeds last year, our starting middle linebacker was also the backup running back, and he had been the starting running back the year before. So
Yeah.
you're just trying to figure out because there's probably about 40 kids that will contribute. I don't want to say 40. There's probably about 35 kids that can really contribute on Friday night for varsity, like to be a top tiered program. But some of that would be like spelling. If it's like, say, we got corners or you need another receiver, like it might be that corner or vice versa, and just knowing when to plug them in. Because you
Yes.
really, like on the depth chart, it might say junior starting middle linebacker and then a freshman linebacker. But we all know that we're not going to put that freshman in there because the real backup might be the starting running back. So that's how
Yeah.
we're building depth with smaller numbers.
Interesting. And then let me hang on. I moved out of it. So non-region this year. What? Let's see. At Bibb County, Jemison, and at Elmore County to finish out the year. I know
Mm-hmm.
nothing about any of those teams.
Um, me neither. Not really. I know Elmore County some because we played them.
Yeah.
Drop my whistle. We played them some early at Leeds. I know
Okay.
Coach Caldwell does a good job down there. Bibb County, I think I think it might be them and Jemison might be our two. Sorry, I lost my whistle. There you go. Might be our two longest rivals. If you got that pulled up, I got Jemison. I know is a big one, but I think we've
Yeah.
played Bibb County a lot. Or
Okay.
I might just be making that up. But
No,
those are
no,
two.
no. You're right. Bibb County all-time series is
Yeah,
y'all are 34, 37, and 3 against
yeah,
Bibb County. So y'all played quite a bit.
and
And
that's
then
another.
yeah, in Jemison y'all are 53 and 21. So
Yeah.
y'all have played a lot.
So I knew we were close on those first two. Bibb County, I know, I think we were actually winning that game last year going into halftime, and they came storming back. There's some things I think schematically and technique wise we can fix easily to put us in a better position to win that game. Jemison, county rival, that'll always be a fun game. And Brookwood, I don't know much about them. I don't think I've ever played them. I went down and wrestled them one time when I was the wrestling coach at Leeds. So I just don't know anything about them. They're kind of out of the area I grew up in.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get exposed to a lot of new programs. That's going
Yeah,
to be
that's
fun.
exciting because I've been like I said, growing up at Oak Mountain, you're just stuck in that whatever region it is now. It was Region 6A when I was there. Then when I got to Leeds after leaving Clay, I was like, there's a whole other side of the state to play. Because at Clay, we were up in that Huntsville region mostly. So
Yeah.
it's just been fun. It'll be great getting to know new coaches, learning how they do things. Because I've been in the Birmingham area, so I feel like I know most of them and how they operate. So it'll be
Yeah.
a fun time.
Yeah. What is it's kind of early, but what has spring been like? Who are some guys you've met, on this roster so far that are kind of catching your eye?
So spring's been different to say the least. Thankfully, the state gives us that 2 hour rule now, or I really don't know what I would have done because on campus right now, coaching wise, it's myself It's Scott Clements, who he's been the OC at Auburn and most recently at Tuscaloosa County. And the running back coach is the baseball coach here. His name's Justin Veazey. So trying to put in two new systems on offense and defense with only so many of the kids in my workout class that we've just tried to piece things together as we've gone and just install a little bit. The biggest thing we've been able to do is there's about 50 of them, and we've taught them how we work out, which I think I'm pretty good at that part of stuff. I'm sure that'll come back to bite me somewhere down the road. But just giving them the organization, the structure, doing everything that we can. So when June 4th hits, I think that's our first day, we're not teaching them the basics of things we do at that point. So then we're just lifting and working out, and we're on the same page as almost everybody else with what we've got installed. And for player-wise, I mean, they've got a lot coming back. They graduated some really good football players. I mean, DeMarcus, he's at Auburn. They had another linebacker named DJ Caffey I've been talking to him in the hallway. He said he'd only been playing football for 2 years. And not to knock any of my other kids I've coached at linebacker at Leeds, but he might be the most natural linebacker I've ever seen on film. And we lost their running back from last year. I think his name was DJ Jackson. I don't want to misquote him. I've never met him, so I can't remember his names. But coming back this year, a lot of kids with experience, some kids that just jump off early for their work ethic and kind of how they've already bought in. Got a safety named Nyshawn Lassiter. He'll be one. I think he's going to be a senior. Middle linebacker named Isaiah DeJarnette. He's going to be a junior. I've got an all-state corner named Justin Godwin. He holds a UNA offer, but he's got some bigger schools that he's on their radar. They want him to come camp. He's going to be a sophomore defensive lineman who reminds me a lot of DJ Dale at Clay. He's just – and I told him, I said, he may not be as natural as DJ was, but for size and just athletic ability and his hands, they remind me a lot of him. And there's a bunch of other kids. I mean, I could name off the whole roster almost for as well as they've bought in and other stuff. Offensively, you got, I know the quarterback's coming back. His name's Logan Coppage. If I had to compare him to anybody that you would know, I'd say he's almost a carbon copy of Connor Nelson. He's the quarterback.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's one of the better players on the basketball team where Connor didn't play basketball last year, but we all know what an athlete he is. And he's a baseball player. So whenever I look at him, I kind of think of what Connor was like as a sophomore, and it checks off all those boxes. Receiver-wise, kid named Marco Simon. He started last year. He'll be a junior too, I think. Kid named Luke Moats. He started. He's a freshman last year. He's going to be a sophomore this year. I hope I said that right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Him and Logan are best friends. It's like watching two brothers fight with each other every day. Kid named Jordan Simon. He's kind of your hand in the dirt tight end, replacing a kid named Hunter Owsley, who's going to be a walk-on at Auburn. So like I said, I just named off those kids. So the talent's there. The offensive lines, I think, mostly back. Not 100% sure on them. It's hard to keep the offensive linemen straight, even though I played. And then just a plethora of other athletes that can fill in at running back and corner. Like the cupboards ain't bare. I know that. And I've told them that. It's just we've got to get everybody working to head in the right direction and clean some things up in and around the program so they understand kind of how things work. It's just normal coming in and rebuilding stuff.
Yeah. Man, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to at Chilton County this fall.
We're going to try our best. I mean, we hope so. I think, and I've told people for years, I'm really not the world's greatest judge. Like, I swear, Coach Hood can look at a team and something. Coach Floyd can do it, and Coach Gilmer can do it. And they'll just know, like, day 3, all right, we're going to be good this year, or we're going to be rough. I can't do it. Maybe it's a trait and I have to learn. I don't know. But, like, just – athlete for athlete, being around some of the athletes I've been around at these other places, I just know that athletically it's there. Now, if we can get everybody on the same page, yet to be seen, because it's been literally, what's today's date? 4th? No, it's been like 2 months and 2 days. So but we're getting a lot of kids out that either said they weren't going to play or they had stepped away from the program last year. So they've at least come and signed up, which is progress.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think you're doing that's helping them buy in?
It's a good question. I just think we're showing them that we are what we say we are. Like I'll say, and I've never seen a coach do this firsthand, but I do know it exists just hearing stories. Like sometimes people will come in and they're like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm going to get you this. And it's 6 months later and you haven't done the first thing that you said. So I've tried to be very careful in what I've promised the kids. Now, like I promised them day one, like we're going to love you. We're going to hold you accountable. Part of all this is tough love. And most of them have figured out what tough love is. Like, no, you're not just going to miss a workout because you forgot shorts. You're going to work out in your jeans or whatever else you got, or you're going to go in the stadium and you're going to carry dumbbells while everybody does it. Like, it's not optional anymore about what you're going to do. And they're not doing it to be rude or negative. It's just they're high school kids where if you allow them to do it, they'll do it. I mean, I don't hold it against them.
Right.
And then stuff like that, or like I told them, I said, we're going to get y'all new stuff in the weight room. So we've already got that in. They've been working with it, promised them certain things, and they've all been delivered so far. But so that's helped. But then just showing them that me and Scott Clements, and I forgot to mention Nick Andrews is going to be our defensive coordinator. He's coming from Clay. Just showing them that we're genuine people that because we get on to you or we have to correct you, it doesn't define what we think about you.
Yeah.
Like we're here to hold you. Like Scott said it best one day, we are the bumpers of your bowling game. Like we're gonna allow you to kind of do what you want, but within the framework of the program. And some kids have to have tighter bumpers than others. And that's just part of knowing your kids, knowing them that. I think trying to be in the school with them has helped a lot, trying to get to know all the kids in the school as best we can. I mean, it's obviously tough. It's 2 of us right now and 853 of them. But trying to get them in line like that way, going and just meeting all the teachers so they know that we're on your page, like we're here to help. Like you can call us and ask anything you need them to do. Like if a kid's acting a fool in your class, like don't be afraid to call us down there. We've had to do that a few times. So just showing the kids that what we're saying is what we are going to do, I think has really been the biggest help. Like if we promise you that we're going to punish you, like we're not going to go home and feel bad about what we said or what we promised and then not.
Yeah. What's been it's been a short time, but what's been the best experience so far since getting the head coaching job for you? What's been the best moment?
And
you can't say getting hired after you got hired.
Yeah. I'll tell it this way. It's not a specific moment in time, but one of my favorite things about teaching and one of the hardest parts it was about leaving Clay and then leaving Leeds, especially being at each spot for 5 or 6 years, is like these kids become really my kids. And then once they graduate, they become like friends of yours. And coming down here, I knew that was going to be a problem because obviously didn't know anybody, had no relationships, but then just trying to be myself, which I love joking with them. I love them just coming to talk to me. They joke on me because I'll wear some bad outfits or mess up my haircut from time to time. And after those first few weeks of them just kind of staring at you like you're crazy and like, is this guy being for real or is he putting on a show? Having the kids starting to come up and just talk to you, or I mean, I hate when they do this, but I also like it, them leaving their class and being late just to come say hey in the gym or come find you in the field house, and then just random students coming up and talking to you, making you feel like you're getting into their world and they're letting you in. I would say it's probably been because it was like it all happened on one day because I made this joke to Scott. I was like, because we made a joke to somebody, and it wasn't anything for real. Like somebody's wearing a Nirvana shirt, and I was like, pop quiz, who was Nirvana's drummer? And like the first day, she just kind of looked at me like, this guy's an idiot. But then a few weeks later, they had on a Sublime shirt. And I said, name one Sublime song. She was like, Coach Walt, I don't know. I just like the shirts. So I was like, all right, these kids know we're for real and they're letting us into their little world. So I would say being let in their world has been my favorite part so far.
Yeah. Was it Dave Grohl?
It was Dave Grohl. I told her that. I was like, is Dave Grohl, you know who that is? She was like, no. And I was like, all right, it's the lead singer of the Foo Fighters. It's also the guitarist from Nirvana. So there you go. She was, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what can people your style? You've come in from a defensive side of things, but what do you want the product to be on the field on Friday nights? Like people coming, to check out this new coaching staff and see how the team looks. What can they expect to see, or what should they hope to see?
What I hope they see, what we're going to work for is fundamentally sound, offensive and defensively, like nothing crazy, like do what works, teach the kids how to play the game to the best of their ability. Special teams that will, at best, win you football games, at worst, not cost you football games. Because just last year, they have one less special team snafu. I think they might have qualified for the playoffs. I probably have to go back and look. But obviously, physical defense and an offense that, and I don't know, Scott and I have gone back and forth on this, but the good news about being the head coach is I can say it, and if I'm wrong, I'll just be wrong. An offense more ball control that will hit the explosive plays when we need to, because, it's been said best, like defense travels. This year, I think we've got 5 home games. Region-wise, I don't know how it shakes out. But
Let's see.
defensively, I know if they can't score one, they can't win. And that's what Sean T at Hewitt and I always joke about all of our offensive friends with. Like, you can do all this great offensive stuff, and y'all might win 77-0. But I know if I walk out there and hold them to 0, we're probably going to win the football game. I'm not the
Yeah.
world's smartest person, but we might win 2-0. But we're going to win the football game if they have 0. So I would say that defensively, fundamentally sound, get to the football, make them snap the ball as many times as they want to without them scoring, because that's something I preach, and it kind of goes into a life lesson too. Like, just play the next play. The offense has to do a lot of things to have one successful play. The defense, you can kind of get lucky every now and then. You got to play within the framework. But offensively, I think definitely ball control. But I do also think we've got the skill players and the quarterback that we can be a pretty explosive little football team as well.
Yeah, man, and yeah, you're right. I mean, five at home, 5 on the road, and not to be the type looking ahead. I know y'all only look for 1 week season. I get it, but Helena and Spain Park are at home this year, so that's helpful. But yeah, that's quite a schedule, and looking for some fun things down there in the Clanton area in the future. We'll get to see y'all now, since like it's cool that every now and then when we have reclassification, like we kind of worry. Like, I mean, you were at Clay when y'all got sent north, and
that was awesome.
Yeah. I made a lot of those trips, and I'm just like, what am I doing in Huntsville on a Friday night for a region game? Like, I just drove like 2 hours. What am I doing here? But like so many of these now cross over, where like Briarwood dipped back down to 5, but they're in there with John Carroll. We cover both of those. Now we get exposed to some of these other teams where Spain Park and Chelsea come down, but now we'll get to see Helena more, Chilton County more, Pelham, Benjamin Russell, and that kind of thing.
Russell, so it's outlier right there.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool to like see some new teams every now and then.
It's going to be exciting, I think. I mean, the whole community's excited. Like I said earlier, they have a ton of support. They're very proud of their program. Like, there hasn't been any struggles yet. Now, if we go out and we're not any good, we might run into it. But of people that just don't want to help, an outpouring of a lot of people just asking how can they help, which is awesome. The kids, I think, if they're not excited, they're putting on a great show about being excited, but they're learning. They want to learn. We're going to start kind of our rising ninth grader workouts this afternoon. We're going to try to do that for at least 3 days this week, if not 3 more days next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully build from there.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Coach. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just if you ever need anything, reach out. We look forward to traveling up there. I know we play Spain Park up there, and I think we also play Chelsea at Chelsea this year.
Yeah, it looks like, if I'm looking at this right, at Chelsea on October 4th. It looks like y'all host Spain Park on October 25th.
I don't have my calendar in front of me.
I mean, I'm not looking at y'all's. I'm looking at the Historical Society.
No, that was right. That's the one I sent to him. So if it's wrong, I'm wrong, and there'll give me a lot of problems come the end of the season.
Well, we'll definitely see y'all at least those two, and then hopefully we'll see y'all in some November football soon.
I'm hoping. I kind of told the kids. I hadn't promised them, but I've told them, like, you've got the ability and we've got the resources and the proper coaches in place that if you'll just work hard, they've already tired of hearing this speech, just work hard, do the right thing, and have fun doing it. The winning part usually sorts itself out the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. Well, we'll cap it right there, Coach. I appreciate you doing this, and congrats on
anything we can do to get our program out there, I'll always do.
Yeah, no, I was excited to learn about it and hear from you since getting the job. So that's awesome, and hopefully big things on the horizon for Chilton County.
We're gonna try. We are going to try.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Well, hopefully I'll run across you this fall.
Sounds good, my man. Appreciate it, bud.
Appreciate it.